Gideon, first tell me how to pronounce your name.
Juliana.
Juliana.
Yeah.
Okay, keep going, keep going. So there was a channel.
So it may have been the vocal channeling, or it may have been the fact that I've been trying to have a shared dream experience where we both wake up within the dream and both are able to pull back information of a shared dream.
Mm-hmm.
Or it may have been traveling and it may have been just like going into greater fields, connecting with guides. I can't remember. It was a couple months ago, but then I found your YouTube page and I was like on a road trip listening to all of them. I was like, yes, this is where I want.
It certainly could be all of those things to link in with us on, huh?
Yeah.
I was going to
right?
say something, but then I got so far into your story, I forgot. Oh, well, we'll just keep it going. It was the channeling. It was the shared dreams. That might have been because we're doing that. For the last year, we were doing a consciousness experiment and we were logging it on the forum board. And it was just bringing back dream content every day. Every day, bring something back and log it. And we were going to look for the overlap in the concepts to see if we were landing in each other's fields. And through the experiment, specifically through grouping in that experiment. Not many people joined with me, probably because there was some insecurities about not being able to bring dream content back every day and not really understanding that you can still make logs.
Yeah. Well, if you do that again,
that there was no hypnagogics before you fell off to sleep, that you woke up feeling overtired or whatever. You can still log things, but nobody kind of grasped that. And so everybody just sort of fell out of it. But during it, there were periods of time where some of us were joint dreaming. And Jan and I, to be sure. That was phenomenal. Not just joint dreaming, but I was landing in conscious out-of-body terrains with Jan. Yeah, so that was phenomenal. And there was a few experiences where I had done that with a few others as well. So I don't know. Do you two ever do that? Do you bring back dream content regularly? I didn't catch that.
We were just wondering who you were talking to.
Everybody, both of you.
Can you hear us?
I can hear you. Can you hear me?
Yeah, I'm good to go now.
Okay, yeah, good. No, we two were talking about shared dreams. So I was asking you two, do you bring back dream content regularly, and do you ever engage in the curiosity about joint dreaming?
I would love to do stuff like that. I'm very curious. I mean, I had only caught part of your conversation because my stupid headphones were connected to my iPhone instead of my computer, but you were talking about hypnagogic imagery, and it's like, since I've moved into this new place, I haven't had, I guess, really any OBEs, but I have a lot of hypnagogic imagery all the time, and I was just wondering what you thought about stuff like that, because I mean, it's so random, and it's so often, and it's just go boom, 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 and it goes in and out and in and out, because your consciousness kind of, as you're going out to try to understand what's going on, then you kind of lose it because you're coming into consciousness, and then, but yeah, I don't know. Am I making any sense?
Well, something's coming to my mind to say, so I will just say it. I don't know if it is on your own thought stream there, but there's something that I discovered when I was consciously going out of body. During my 4 awakening years, when I was going out a lot, regularly, I started to notice that there was this phenomenon And it showed me, in part, why people generally think of dreams as, unreal. Not just because it's not physical space, but because it can look cartoon-like, literally. And
Mhm.
so I was shown, the conscious shift, fully conscious through all the spaces, was sort of my forte. So I could see that the further away I was from a being or a space, the more cartoon-like it was. The closer I got, it began to have a more caricature function where some human characteristics or person type characteristics were beginning to come out. It wasn't purely cartoon. The closer I got, the more to the actual fact I got until I landed, in an OBE fully face.
What do you mean closer? Do you mean that as in more awareness, or you're talking about
Literally
almost
think
like
of
a
it as
distance?
space. Yes. So you're standing at the end of
Mhm.
a football field, and at the very other end of the football
Okay.
field is the being or the place that you're going to go to. And from that distance, yes, things look very cartoonish down there. But I walk halfway down the
Okay.
field, and now it's starting to take on some more real characteristics.
Mhm.
And although still maintaining the cartoonish characteristics, also I call that caricature like, again, where it's not fully lifelike, not fully true to life, still has some of that cartoonish nature to it, but also very real, very human like characteristics. And then I walk further down the field until I'm face to face with somebody down there, and now they look fully like themselves, fully true to life. And it was like that. It's the same when I'm traveling through, okay, so void, point of light, star field. These are the fields I would move through as I was shifting through the dimensions. Um, Geometric color formations, and then an aerial level view of the world, which would look uh, pretty much like Google Earth. It's not lifelike. It doesn't look like real grass, and so it looks like a two-dimensional view of a plane, and I call that cartoon-like. Um, and then, I would get closer. I would still be up in the air, but much closer, and I would start to be able to identify not just land and grid lines down there. I could see trees and people moving around, and then I would be on the ground, and everything would be 3D surround sound, real as life. So that's what it's like for me, traveling through the fields, you know but also, at the same time, the visual format moved from very cartoon like from a greater distance to more caricature like, coming in closer, and then face to face, real as real can be. And so just because when we're getting those hypnagogic imageries, they're looking cartoonish sometimes, yeah, it doesn't mean that that's not an actual being right there. It is. It's just that you're at a greater distance. And this is
I mean,
important.
I feel like it's all real. I mean, I know you said that sometimes people think that it's not. I mean, I think it. I mean, there's a time when I thought that too, but it's like I feel like even in the hypnagogic imagery, I'm picking up on something.
Yeah. It's just that
That's
most
just
people will think of a cartoon appearance as not
yeah,
real. That's just not anything to even pay
right.
attention to. Um, but that's just the distance. The point I'm trying to make is that that's just the distance you are from that person or that being. So it has nothing to do with the realness of the being, but the distance between you and that one. And this is important because a lot of the beings out there, again, are not Earth human beings. And out of respect for your central nervous system, for the fear that the fight flight, that is the first thing to get addressed when you start going out of body, is
Mm.
your base, the fight flight mechanism. We often know this as the dweller on the threshold. That's that test, you know. Um, So they're at a distance at first, because you're not going to be as scared of a cartoon as you are of a something else. Reptilian, Martian,
I feel like,
tall
excuse me,
thing. Yes.
I feel like I tend to see, well, if I see in cartoon, I definitely see in cartoon. But as you're speaking, this makes me feel like when I see things, it's more like they have blurry or fuzzed edges, or I can't even fully see something. So I kind of tend to know when I'm in the presence of another being that like I cannot fully take in yet, even though I try to like, get my eyes to come online. It tends to be like the head is out of picture, or it's just fuzzy, or I'm like fully there, but I'm also not able to see everything.
Mm-hmm.
So that's kind of makes me what you think about like how you said
Yeah, so that would be when you were already fully in the event. I'm mentioning moving into the event. Most people aren't aware of the shift. And so every opportunity I get, because the shift was my forte.
So you're paying attention to the shift.
The whole thing is a shift. Even
you're like
even
taking
landing
a lot. Well, what I'm saying is, it's like most of the time, a lot of times we just find ourselves there, but you're paying attention to the actual changes as you're leaving your body all the way through. Because see, I used to pay a lot of attention to the vibrational state, because a lot of things kind of go on there too. But like you're starting to focus on, the whole thing. But when you mention the blindness and the partial blindness, I totally can relate to that too. I experience that a lot. Yeah.
Yeah. When you're in a what I call landing location, depending on what frequency you are in, which brainwave structure you're experiencing yourself in and as, you'll notice the energy, the amount of energy and the quality of the energy is very different. And in beta, we're so used to beta. And this is such a remedial wave, one, but two, that's the one that we're most used to, most acclimated to, functioning in, experiencing ourselves as and through. So when we're in a wave like a deep alpha, or a theta wave, or God forbid a delta wave, yes, this is a lot of energy. And so like we swim in these. It takes some time to get acclimated to it. It'll feel like you're drunk almost, that you've woken up with a hangover. Yeah, you can't quite focus on anything, and everything's very fuzzy, but you acclimate to those ones as well. But
so why did you say, God forbid, a delta wave?
Most of us can't make it consciously into the delta waves.
Okay, I'm not too familiar with waves, so that's intriguing.
Yeah, the delta waves are deep. Yeah. But these are, you can think of that there's more, the energy is much more intense. Everything is much faster. The processing speed that we have to use to identify what we would call things in these experiences is much more, is just much more fast. We're not used to, it's the more distance there is between things, the slower the processing speed we're using. That's what helps everything look like it's happening one moment after the next in a linear fashion. But in these other ways, the linearity starts to go away. And in delta, everything's happening simultaneously at the same time. And so I'm one of those ones that, because
I'm looking at a picture of the different wavelengths since you brought that up, because sometimes I have to go back and kind of relearn those. It's like awake, which is beta, and then alpha, which is relaxed, then theta, which is drowsy. I know that theta is a lot of times a hypnagogic, and where we are when we're meditating. And then the delta, and then you were mentioning delta, right? Which is the deep dreamless sleep. Okay. So I'm just trying to look at the difference in the wavelengths and stuff. I was just curious.
Okay, yeah, good. It's good to
Anyway,
look at these things.
yeah,
Hertz frequencies will be associated with
yeah,
these. So when you hear me mentioning frequencies, that's
right.
what I'm referring to. And we use our own scale, you know, here in beta, we'll do a Hertz frequency of this for beta, of that for alpha, et cetera, et cetera. Um, I think it's easier just to say that energetically they're each very different, and energetically we have to acclimate to them in order to experience fully in them, and that takes some time. Going back to the, I'm going to get to your
Yeah.
hand in just a second, just to finish the idea about uh, the processing speeds that our consciousness has to use in order to actually um, land, experience, see, and interact in these other frequency waves. Um, the faster they get, the more everything is happening all at once. And you find yourself in not just one location, but you're able to actually cognize yourself in multiple locations all at the same time. This was my forte because the shift was my main focus. The whole thing, even the landing locations, are a shift because you're moving through the landing locations, you know, to other places, you know. So the whole thing is a shift. And to focus on the shift is what lets you be in many places. And I'm aware
Mm.
now that I was able to do this because I am literally, my being is a shapeshifter. So
Mm.
fascinating, because that was the thing that fascinated me most coming into all of this. This is one of the concepts, the ability to morph my form. It was brought to me by my yoga teacher, along with the channeling phenomena and these other things. And, you know, it all just sounded so familiar. I was just like, this all sounds so familiar. You know, I started really getting into all of these things until now, you know, through the work with the crystal, where I'm, you know, and the shifts through out of body experiences and the ability to somehow be in multiple locations simultaneously. This was all very different than how most other people were experiencing it. And this is the difference between having a top down activation to awaken, and a base to crown activation to awaken. Robin, you'll know these as Kundalini awakenings. You know, most people have the base to crown. It starts in the physical space. They're getting all this kind of anomalous experience through the physical body system, and they're not going out of body yet. They got to go through the base chakra and on up before they get to the out of body experiences. Whereas where you're having a top down activation, you are starting out, if your consciousness breaks out into the field, you're aware of the multiple realities, um, you know, all of that's at the same time as you're experiencing all the physical body stuff. So I literally physically experienced at the same time being kept awake at the top of every night for many hours, every part of my body literally feeling like it was being broken and reset. Very painful experience. But because it was happening simultaneously with the consciousness expansion and exploration, I was just riveted. You know, I was like, okay, yeah, I'll do this. I'll go through this. Just what is this other thing, you know, where I'm in these other places? You know, that's what had the bulk of my attention. Okay, Juliana, sorry, that was a long chain of thought.
It's okay. I had a question then. So you're talking about the different waves that you go through. So you're saying when you come out of body, we are traveling through these different waves, and then that affects our awareness within the space?
Yes.
Okay, so when we usually come out of body, is there an order to the waves that normally happen, or can you explain a little bit about that?
They're all happening simultaneously. You're in them
Okay.
all simultaneously, but your person, is
Hmm.
cognizing only as much of that as it's able. And
Okay, and you can stretch and grow that and work with
sure.
that?
Yeah. And usually what gets your attention, what's most important to you, is where you will pinpoint yourself. And so most people are very keyed to the physical space and the physical body. And so where they pinpoint themselves is usually in the etheric, you know, just
Mm.
in a space that looks just like their physical space, that they come out of their actual physical body in their actual physical bedroom. And they'll spend a lot of time there, learning things. And it could be years or never before they actually make it out of their house, before they even have the idea to walk out their front door or go through the window. They're too involved in other things that are getting their attention right there. And some people maintain their experience there, and then others will grow it out into other terrains.
This is interesting to me because I feel like when I get out of body, they've all been very natural. I've always, the first place that I've been released is like into space. I've never really been in my bedroom until I took an astral projection class.
Mhm.
And then now suddenly I feel very confined by being, it's not even my bedroom, it's like my bedroom at my grandma's house when I was a kid.
Yes.
And then now I have to work so much harder, it feels like, because now there's this physical, and then now suddenly I can barely even get past the street, like when I'm so used to just immediately being blasted off into space, knowing I'm in space, knowing I'm separate from my body, and then going to other places. So it's interesting that you brought that up, something for me to think.
Well, I'm going to say there must be something there for you, because the
Mm.
consciousness field led you to that class, and that class led you to an experience on the etheric plane. And so there must be something there of interest to you. There must be something there you're still trying to figure out or come to know. It could be something happened, associated with grandma and grandma's house that you're still processing. And so all of these things are very important. At a particular point in my 4 years where I was going out a lot, I was just fascinated with being able to land in the real time zone, the etheric, what people call the real time zone. That's just the physical, the etheric duplicate of the physical world.
Mm-hmm.
Because that's where everybody else was going. And I was just like, I never get to experience that, and I wanted to be there. And so I was still in the delta wave, so was able to cognize myself in multiple of the locations. I was still uber focused on the shift itself, which is a vibration. So like if you imagine yourself right now with some music playing and just the largest speaker you can imagine in front of you with the bass up nicely,
Mm-hmm.
and placing your hand on the speaker so that you
Mm-hmm.
feel your whole body vibrating. Even just imagining that your consciousness doesn't pinpoint itself anywhere. Your body doesn't pinpoint itself anywhere. And you can be aware of a larger terrain all at once. So right now we're aware of ourselves in our homes, right here where we're sitting. But at the same time that we're right here in our homes where we're sitting, we're also in the city in which we are. And that city is in a state, and that state is in a country, and that country is on a globe. And so you can see these wider terrains are still here, still happening. We're in them right now. And you can experience as much of that full picture as you want if you let yourself go into what I call vibration or waveform.
So I wonder if Giuliani, if I pronounce your name wrong, I'm sorry. I wonder if maybe your first experience didn't happen in that room
Yeah, my first experience getting out of body
as a child.
as a
Happened
child.
at
Oh,
your grandmother's house.
oh, wait. If my first experience getting out of body was at my grandparents' house, it's funny that you say that, because my first all my spirit dreams happened in my grandmother's house. So the first time I had like my spiritual awakening and I asked to meet a spirit guide, I was in a room in my grandmother's house. And I'm very connected to my grandmother. So it's something that you bring up that's incredibly interesting, because I did live there as a kid and then again back in high school. So there's a lot of energy, even my own comfortability of where I feel safest is considered my grandma's house. So I always thought that my grandma's house is a place for me where I could leave because I feel comfortable coming back.
Right. So if you,
Well, maybe that's just like a starting point for you.
yeah. I don't know why this came to me. I just felt like maybe there was, um, in that, maybe that very first experience, if you had been a small child, there might have been some fear around it. So the
Mm-hmm.
fear sort of stuck you there. And if you could just kind of
Mm-hmm.
walk past that, then that experience might um, happen. Not that it's not that it shouldn't happen at your grandmother's house, but if
Yeah.
I don't know, I just felt guided to say that.
Yes, please. Thank
But
you.
you know what? I'm very fearful. I mean, I have woken up with my heart pounding, scared to death. I mean, literally not able to speak. In that moment where you know I'm having a conversation with my husband's whatever soul, and we're
Mm-hmm.
we're talking soul to soul, and I'm scared to death, and I can't get anything to come out of my mouth. But then in my reality, I can hear him snoring, so
Mm-hmm.
I know I'm not really. And my cat is like looking at me, and I know it's not the cat that I have now, but I can't speak or move. It's like that frozen.
Mm-hmm.
So I do have some fear around it, and in the few times that I remember, actually, I never noticed the transitions of the different planes or the like Casey was talking about. I was always just kind of there, and it was usually space.
Mm-hmm.
I don't remember
Yeah, thank you.
ever
That's something
landing
that
anywhere.
I could work with. I'm so sorry. What'd you say?
I don't ever remember landing anywhere. I remember passing people and speaking to them
Mm.
telepathically. Like, uh, just hey, that kind of thing. But I don't remember landing anywhere in my conscious brought back moments.
Mm.
Can I just say
Yeah.
that's the most phenomenal part of being in out of body states is the telepathy. The way
Mm-hmm.
communication happens on those levels, it's so much more natural and effortless and easy and feels so good. And there's no judgment in any of it. It's like a candle that's radiating its light, and it's that easy. It's that all the time. And
And so
nobody's
sweet.
like attacking you for any of it. It's
It's
just
just
that,
so sweet too. You don't have to waste any energy.
no,
It's
none.
just it's just like it's a breath.
Yes.
I like it too. I wish I could do it now.
And by the way, because we're mentioning this or because you brought it up and I want to mention this, the new thing that we're starting to do with our group is practicing our telepathy. So I started the thread on the forum board yesterday, and we're going to go ahead and stop the meditations that we've been having on Thursday, and we're going to switch over to this. And we're working on developing it right now. So if you have any ideas, come over to the forum board and chat with us about how we might structure this in order to work as a group to practice our telepathy. Literal, actual, meeting on Zoom and doing practices on telepathy. So someone sending a
Can I
signal.
join?
Yes, yes, please do.
Yeah, I'd like to also.
Yeah, good.
I just I get confused with the different sites that you have, like Facebook, and then it's like I think that we get updates on our email when through your forum, right?
There's no, you can follow the website. And so when I post anything on the website, you'll get an email. There's the Patreon
Okay.
for anybody who wants to support the work. And at a certain point, all of the crystal
Okay.
contacts will be posted there exclusively. And readings
On the forum.
for patrons and people who even just follow that page. And then there's the forum board, and that's where we do all of our real talking, our consciousness experiments. That's where everybody can do a log to keep their own daily logs and read others. So all of that stuff happens there. And then there's the Facebook group. Yes.
Okay, so the forum board would be on your website, not the Facebook group.
It's not on the website. It's a completely different site. It's a talk board.
Oh.
Yeah.
Okay, so then maybe I could reach out to you later and you could send me the separate links to everything.
Yeah, absolutely. And on Facebook, if you
Yeah,
just
I
personal
get
Facebook
confused of all the
page,
links too.
if you go to my personal Facebook page, you'll see
Ah,
them all there.
oh,
Yeah. So
perfect.
everything's all
Okay.
there. Uh-huh. Yeah, I'd like to get everybody more active on the forum board. Again, we can talk more as a consciousness community.
Oh, I see. Yes.
Yeah, we can talk more in depth. I mean, just Facebook isn't the page. It's
Mhm.
one word, 3 word sentences, and likes. You can like on our forum board, but um, it's a platform where we can go into much more depth and do more
It's just
things.
more
And of course,
private
that's
too.
where the Zoom platform.
More private.
Yes, just our consciousness people, and mostly and namely, I should say, the consciousness people in our particular group. Yeah,
Hmm.
there's so many groups on Facebook. It's easy to get distracted, and people start private messaging you, and it's yeah, hard to focus. Okay, so fun way to begin this talk. Who has any experiences they want to bring to light or look more deeply into? Does anybody have any questions?
Well, mine is not really an out of body experience. Are you gonna put this video on Facebook?
We're recording.
I know. See, it makes me. I don't know. I don't know.
And this is some of the things to work through, also that will help you have more conscious experiences.
Now,
I
I'm
mean,
gonna
the
break
more we
away
stay in
one
the
more thing.
closet, the more we keep ourselves in the closet.
I know.
you know.
I feel like I need to stay in the closet on this one because I'm afraid people are gonna be like, "Oh my God, where is the white jacket for her?"
Oh my
Oh
gosh.
no,
You didn't
please
have to
don't
do
feel
Not
everything that
in
I
this
said.
that
group,
way.
not with me.
Yeah.
But if it's
I
posted
mean,
on
it
Facebook,
took me years and years to come out of the closet, you know.
I like quiet and
Don't
dark.
I mean, I love, I don't give a shit what people think. It's
Um,
just like let them judge.
I know.
Robin, you know me, I'm the biggest
I
hermit
know
of
you're
them
not gonna do
all.
it. I know.
But at a certain point, we have to come out, and because the world needs it.
I know. But
It does.
I don't know.
It does.
And you know I don't give a shit what people say about me. You
Ha,
know that.
no, you don't. It's true.
Anyway, okay. All right.
I've been told I needed a white jacket when I shared my experience to somebody who, I really trusted. And you know what? I just got over it.
Guys, I talk
Just,
to
yeah.
extraterrestrial consciousness through a crystal. So I don't know. Can you beat it?
I
Go
love
ahead.
those too. I love them. You ever see any of those that make you kind of step back and have a little fear? Sometimes they're scary to me.
Yeah. Yes, many times.
I
Many
face
times.
I face my fears.
Do you
I
protect
face my
yourself?
fears during OBs.
The
Protect
newest
yourself,
one.
Casey, when you're doing that? Do you protect yourself when you're drawing whatever in to make sure that what's coming in is good for you or okay for you?
Yes and no. The fundamental way to be who you are, which is the protection, being who you are,
Mhm.
is to go into and remain in a state of love and radiate it, radiate it, radiate it, radiate it, because the only thing that can enter that is something that is synchronized with that energy, that is able to pattern themselves in that sort of a pattern, in that structure. So nothing will come in other than
I
what's
know that
absolutely
I know
appropriate.
that protecting yourself is almost like a form of not trusting, and I don't like that.
Right.
When you're asking for protection, I don't like to feel like I'm presenting first rattle out of the bag that I'm not trusting. But I always can't help myself.
I was scared to death when I
Help
first
myself. I just
when
feel like I want to be protected. I don't know, by God, whatever. I don't know, whatever word you choose. Okay.
I used love itself
Mhm.
when I was first going out, when I realized I was being pulled out by other entities. And I didn't, who the heck is there?
Right.
You don't know yet, and so your central nervous system is in shock. My central nervous system was in shock for like 2 years. The second year, it was,
I
leveling out.
remember when you were going through all that. I remember.
Yeah, my heart was pumping out of my chest every day, but my curiosity would not let me stop. I'm not somebody who can run away from fear. I'm somebody who's going to throw myself at it, because I want to see what that is. And so I used love itself. I used love and service came to me right off the bat. Everybody's in the service of the creator. I just knew that. I knew this was a service. And I would just repeat the word love, love. That was the frequency I knew that I needed to be at. And I used, what else was I going to say? Oh, and this has to do with service. So it was love, service, and everything only serves to help. So, it was coming to me. It was being given to me. And so everything only serves to help. Everyone only serves to help. There is no other way or reason to serve other than to help. And I started to understand this viscerally, literally through the cells of my body. And, this helped me maintain the conscious awareness while in these additional states of consciousness and experience fields. And the rest is, of course, history.
Yeah.
Was able to make it as far as I did. But yeah, there were times I had to stop. By the time I was getting interested in galactic space, this was challenging. This was the most challenging thing ever, because standing face to face with an extraterrestrial consciousness is not an easy thing to do. Your energy has to stand in the presence of that energy, and you have to experience the differential. And the differentials are challenging, because a larger awareness understands more than you do, understood more than I did, and so a lot of that differential was the confusion between, the way I see reality and the way reality actually is. And you can close your mind to that, you can shut yourself off from that, but I didn't want to do that.
Mm-hmm.
So the experiences themselves
Brave.
were taking place in a differential. You have to be brave. Yeah, you have to have some courage. Yeah, and you have to be somebody that, but like I said, I needed breaks. Yeah, 2014, I needed a break, and I didn't come back for quite some time. And you know what I did? I went out on the land. I started living in my car. I was completely, one, I was depressed, in a huge state of depression, because my experiences weren't being given with the regularity at which they had been for the previous 4 years. And that sent me spiraling into a depression. That was part of what did. Charlie Brown died. Hugely traumatic for me. I can't even bring it up right now. I'm just going to breathe. So, a few things that were, just completely threw me off the edge of the world. In order to stay, I could not participate, and I couldn't live indoors. I literally didn't want to. The thought was so depressing. I thought I might slip my wrists. It was like that. It was like, if I could not be outside where I could see the sky, where I could breathe, where I didn't have to do anything I didn't want to, where I could do everything I did want to, was to start helping all the people that were out there. I don't know if you guys know about Los Angeles and what's happening in California there, or the level at which it's happening. But yeah, anyway, all of that happens, and all of
Can I ask you something?
Through. Yeah.
Do you have a diary of that somewhere that I can actually, your life is so interesting. I'm just, it's like, we go so far, in and out of those where we're really into, all this, and then we kind of get our separate, then we feel separated. But no, what you did Do you have that written down anywhere,
Yeah,
or
that was
videos, about that?
I approached it as a project. So it was originally just me helping other people. And then I got the idea to not do this by myself, that I always do things by myself, that I needed to start learning to work with other people. And so that was the point at which I began a project. It was called the 1111 Project. It is on Facebook as a page and as a group. And that's linked to on my personal page as well, or it used to be. So yeah, that
tell
can
you,
be
I went
useful
through
to.
it with her. I was watching and reading and paying attention to Casey going through it, and we were even seeing each other because I was traveling to California a lot. We were seeing each other,
Yeah,
and I can remember when we were in Santa Barbara, you know, and then uh, I knew, I felt what was happening to you
mm,
when you went to your car and everything. But then I was so I had such admiration in that you knew exactly what you needed to do,
I
and
knew I did. It
and
was
you did it.
it was the only. It wasn't like I knew because there was like a million other choices. It was like this was the only thing. That this was the only thing that didn't make me feel horrible.
And then you just and then what was it? 2 years that took you to. Uh, how did you reconcile that?
4 years. My family started weighing on me because as the years went on, they were like, "What is she doing? How long is she going to stay out there?" None of my family understood, and I was trying to help them understand what was going on out there and what I was doing, but nobody understood. There was just like, my sister's homeless now, and I'm like, I'm not homeless. I just went from living inside a tiny house to living on the planet. Um, they couldn't fathom that kind of view of how I was seeing it. Um, I was literally becoming a global citizen. That's what that was all about. I was no longer a private person. I was now global. And this was my ground level equivalency of my consciousness having gone from planetary to galactic, literally. So that was how I enacted that. Yeah, and so while I was out there, I'm a healthcare worker, a nurse, if you will, and I just started nursing the homeless. Treating their exposures, their wounds. They would get in fights sometimes, and I would just make sure their wounds were cleaned and dressed, and I fed people and clothed people, and I opened the project. Robin was the first one to send a very generous donation. That helped me bring food to people that needed food, and
You see what that is? That's love and service. That's
that's
love and service.
that's all it
But
was.
you were declaring that for years.
And whether you live inside or outside, it doesn't matter. Outside is
It's
much larger than any house will ever be.
too hard.
I and I needed to be near trees, and I there was things that I was needing. I needed to be.
Can I ask you something?
Yeah. Yeah.
Did you feel like the universe was providing for you, or are you just naturally wealthy? Or how did you survive? Is it
I
just something that you just? Because I've been at that too, where it seems like the universe just always provides when I need it, but
Same
how did you
here.
do that?
One, I've never money's not been a focus of this life for me,
Right.
but I usually don't give it a second thought. I'm somebody who's never looked at a price tag in my life.
Mhm.
Like when I'm in the grocery store, and it's not that I have any money, because I have none.
Well, you were.
But at least I'm not in deficit now. During those years that I was out on the land, I wasn't working for money. I was working unconditionally. That means not for pay, for 4 years. Um, and I spent every bit of my savings doing that. But at the same time that I had savings, my credit card debt was much more. So I was actually in deficit when that started. And when I came out of it, I wasn't in deficit anymore. So after 4 years of not working for any money, just working for free unconditionally helping people, which is how I actually want to work. I hate working for money. Yes, I'll take care of you if you give me money. I mean, it's so I mean, it brings it down to such a sleazy level, you know. And then people
So
feel
you have
like
to, you
because
have
they're
to have
giving you
good
money,
money.
they can tell you what to do, you know, or how to do what it is you do. And all of that is just the worst. I can't stand any of that. I've never been able to stomach mm,
It does make sense the way you're
the
saying
way
it.
humans work. You know.
It does make a lot of sense what you're saying. I've never thought about it before. But,
Yeah.
I haven't worked for money in years.
And it's
Like,
so
well, my
nice.
husband does, but I
Robin's
don't.
independently wealthy.
No, no, my husband is a worker and he's just very generous. But I mean, it's like he loves what he does, but I haven't worked for money. I mean, in years. My yoga
Yeah,
is completely donation. I mean, but I do have fallback because my husband's working, and I mean, he
right.
buys
And
our
I have no
groceries and stuff
fallback.
like that.
I also have no fear because
Yeah,
I've
Yeah, I have no fallback either now.
what I've needed
you have
has
to have
just
some
always is there. You
fear.
know,
Yeah,
there's never been a
Yeah.
time when it hasn't been there. When I had no more money, after the 4 years when I had no more money, I had to start working for money again.
yeah.
Yeah, and that put me indoors again, and I began to acclimate because I'm a home health care worker. That began acclimating me to having to be back indoors again. And then I came out here to be with my family, and I've been here ever since. Now I have to move at the end of the year because my niece needs her room. My niece and nephew have been little tiny kids and have shared a large room up front for all these years, but they're getting bigger, and my niece needs her room back, so I have to move again. So you guys can help me figure out how to do that. I don't know if I'm staying here or if I'm going somewhere else. I haven't worked any of that out yet.
You want to stay in California, you think?
I have no, it doesn't even matter. It's like the sky's the limit. I don't know what I'm gonna, it's completely open.
Yeah.
I just decided to move to Bend,
Huh.
Oregon. So I'm from Los Angeles. And since COVID hit, I have not been in LA. I'm actually in Mount Shasta right now,
Oh
which
my
has given
God.
me the clarity to be like, I don't want to go back to LA. So Casey, you can come with me to Bend, Oregon. It is so
Or
nice. It was
Casey, get her place in Shasta, Mount Shasta, the ultimate
There you go.
dinner of
Yeah.
the
Or
year.
exactly, because I'm moving out of this room either the middle of August or the beginning of September.
I've
Hmm.
always wanted to go to Mount Shasta.
Oh my God, it's been incredible. I feel like a kid at summer camp. I've always been in LA, so the desert and the ocean have been like my places. I've never been in a forest or like the river or just seeing waterfalls every day. It is so nice.
Have
And the
you gone,
slower pace. I love the slower pace of life over here.
have you gone up to James
Oh.
Gilliland's?
Mm-mm.
No.
No, what is that?
I was
Say
up
that
there.
again.
I'd go see him.
Who?
To who?
James Gilliland.
I'm not familiar with him.
Oh my goodness. Well, he's what you would call one of the new agers.
Mm.
But he has a place up there at Mount Shasta, and people can come and they can camp out, and they do the CE5s and the Sky Watches. He's into the contact and all of that.
Mm.
Yeah.
I'll have to look him up.
Yeah. He's
Yeah.
up there. I have some other friends up there in that area, and I'm familiar with Bend as well because when I was in high school, I left home when I was 15, and my mother lived in Eugene, so I was in
Mm.
Eugene for some time. I liked Oregon at the time because I'm from
Mhm.
Las Vegas, where it's just
Yeah.
hot, and so the rain there for that year and a half was kind of
Yeah.
nice, but yeah, I need a sunny place.
Yeah.
I often think of the top of New Mexico. You know, that
Mm.
comes to my mind a lot, and I've not lived in New Mexico yet. That's a possibility. I love this area, this
What about
outlying area.
Arizona, like Sedona?
I love
Love
Sedona.
Arizona, love Nevada, love
Um,
love the entire desert type terrain.
Can I ask you a
I
question
live in
about
the Ozarks, so it's very different.
Yes,
Ah.
the Ozarks are beautiful.
See, I've never been to you
Mhm.
guys' neck of the woods over there on that side.
The
of the
Ozarks are
United
very
States.
beautiful. And
Right.
they have beautiful lakes and
Yeah.
oh yeah. Come visit. I have lots of
Mhm.
room.
You made
I
the
have room
invitation.
too.
One of these days
I
I'm going to
do.
take you up on it.
I'm serious.
It's like I
You might
moved in
not
a
get
different
rid of
place
me.
in the Ozarks, and I'm in a bigger house now. Well, if they're going to get rid of you, I have an extra bedroom.
So the Ozarks is a possibility, and
Yeah.
Mount Shasta in that room that we're seeing right here is a possibility.
Yeah.
What do you pay for rent up there, Juliana?
$750 for this bedroom.
Mm-hmm.
Is it in a private home?
It is, yeah, and I have this great.
You have access, private access?
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, that's
Like a
nice.
little studio. Nice.
Oh, wow. That's
For the
beautiful.
record, I rent 2-bedroom apartments
Good. Wow.
in Mississippi for $750.
Oh,
Yeah.
I know, and 750
I
is
pay
nothing.
$750. I pay $750 for my entire house, and it's a ranch house.
That's
Yeah.
what
Yeah.
Here in
But
California,
it's not
$750.
right. It's like Missouri is the lowest cost of living you can ever imagine.
yeah.
Wow.
Well,
Casey, I did have a question about transitions and traveling, if you don't mind me, may I ask?
Well, let's come back to it. Oh,
Yeah, how do you recommend to be more aware of the transitions? Do you have any tips for that? I do often find myself in places just naturally, but what do you recommend?
Tritak, which is a gazing practice.
Mhm.
And it's a way of focusing the attention so that the attention doesn't waver.
Mhm.
And if you can do a steady tritak, for instance, when your eyes are closed, and you can do the tritak with your eyes closed or eyes open, and there's a way to do it, both actually. We'll speak very generically here. If you do a tritak when your eyes are closed, at the space in front of your closed eyes, you'll inevitably begin to see something. Those of us do
Mhm.
anyway. And if you can keep your gaze open to the whole thing, you will be more aware of the shift. But if you give your attention to something specific in the field, you'll lose the shift and end up in a landing location.
So that's kind of like paying attention to the peripherals.
Yeah, pay attention to the whole thing rather than anything in that. Yeah,
take some practice.
it takes some practice. Yeah, most people get, they're like,
Actually
oh, what was
goes to
that?
I do have a comment about when you come out in the ethereal. Juliana, have you ever tried to like exit out your front door or out a window? Because every time I've completely been into a different, dimension. And another thing too is thinking about where you want to go. And sometimes I know just going on a free ride anywhere where the universe thinks you need to go, that's good too. But I do know that, let's say I were to take a trip on the outside of the sun or to Mars or whatever, thinking about it, and I usually say, please take me, then you travel at the speed of thought and everything shifts and stuff. So that's another way that I can go from, and I think it's so cool that you come out your grandma's house too. That's really neat. But for me,
Uh-oh. Uh-oh.
opposite. I mean, I love exiting in my bedroom. I really do, because as I walk out of my bedroom and into the house, as I'm going farther and farther from my body, it's like there seems to be a shift in, let's say, time, where it seems like the house starts to change, where it's either maybe part of the past or the future or something. But anytime I go out a window or a door, I'm someplace else. It seems like those are portals. I don't know if it's kind of in generality that they are, but they are for me. But yeah, I love traveling when I call it the speed of thought, where it's like, of course, it's like, it's like you're Googling something also. So it's like, I want to go. One time I asked to go to the Stonehenge because I think, God, I'd love to go to Stonehenge. And I ended up going back pretty much at the time after Stonehenge was being built. So it's like we were supposed to meet as a group there because we were doing an experiment. And I got to go back in time where it seemed like there might have been a woman that was a druid or something. And it was just really, really wild that, it's like, be careful of what you ask for. You're going to get it, but it may not be what you think. It's just really cool. But that's kind of the vice too, but I think it's very cool that you come out, the grandmother's house thing is really neat. But,
Yeah, that's just been really recent. I always dream about my grandmother's house, but recently in my out of bodies, it's been at my grandma's, which is interesting to me.
There's a difference between going out of a body fully consciously from the conscious state. So for instance, I'm going to lay myself down, I'm going to close my eyes, I'm going to look into the space in front of my closed eyes and hold the attention. So if you can hold the attention right here, and whether the visuals begin popping up or not, inevitably you'll drop into a space where you feel yourself energetically, where you are feeling yourself entirely energetically. And now, if the attention expands to this energetic area, the vibrations will come on. And this is the part where most people get scared. They can't make it consciously through the vibrational state because you may feel hands on you.
I've literally felt something go inside my chest, like my heart. I felt things going through my abdomen.
Yes.
And I'm just wondering, it's like, maybe they're healing me, or maybe they're doing something that, I who knows? But yes. I have no fear. I wish I could express that.
You'll feel things that tend to get experienced as evasive. They're coming in very close to your physical space and your physical body, and it can be very scary. But if you can maintain the focus just on the energy, on the vibrational state, on the ways that you are interpreting certain vibrations, as this is a hand on my shoulder, that's a vibrational experience, an energetic experience. It's visceral.
You can just want to touch. Do you think it's just curiosity that they want to touch?
There are beings right now in the 4 rooms that we're sitting in. We are not the only ones in these rooms. There are others who are always here with us, assisting us through our experience here on Earth. And the more open your invitation is to what I will call your others, the more of them who will come. The more you're working in service to humanity, the more of them who will come and help you and work through you to do greater works while you're here. And so right now in our spaces, they're just here. And you'll start to be more aware of that as you begin to shift out from the physical space into what I call the etheric space, which is just the next frequency over. It's very connected to the physical. You'll begin to be aware of their presence.
So you think others are different than guardian angels and divine beings which I call on and feel all the time. So there are others mingled in with those guardian angels, and they're not the same kind of, like, you know what I mean when you say others.
They are your, what I will call, higher fractal consciousness. And there's various dimensions to your higher fractal consciousness. If you want to go way out, yes, you're going to get the angelic types. Okay. But there'll be elemental types, there'll be galactic types. All of them.
Because I've experienced what you were talking about when you're.
I know too that.
And then the images come in, and then, but I have felt a vibration, but I've never really felt what I thought would be a hand touching or something like that. But I see them. I see them. And
Hmm.
sometimes they try to scare me. So you'll be there, and then
Yes, they come in real close.
right, right.
Yes.
Isn't that
Yes.
exactly it? They're, and
So
I always think they're
But
trying
you
to
know,
jump, and I'll be like, I'm not jumping. I'm not. That's what I'm doing in my mind. I swear, I know it sounds crazy.
good. So your
but
vision.
do you think that's going on? Do you think that's going on during like part of the transition? Because it's like if I've seen it like there too, but once I exit my body, there's nothing there. I mean, is that the same thing for you, Casey? It's like you might have those physical sensations and even maybe something pressing on you, because I know that that's part of the sleep paralysis too, but
Yes.
if that's stopping you from trying to go through with it, the once I exit, there's nothing there. I mean, is that
I feel
normal,
like sleep
Casey? I
paralysis
mean,
for me comes on the way back in. Like maybe I wake up too soon, maybe just a breath too soon. I feel like that's on the way back in, that paralysis for me.
Yeah, it can be on the way out or in, and it's all to. So most people's awareness will skip the parts they can't handle.
Mm.
Okay. And nothing you can't handle and continue the experience, because that's what your higher consciousness is really trying to help facilitate for you. That experience, you to get experience, in these other terrain, conscious experience in these other terrains. So they're not going to do anything that would stop the experience on a dime. But at a certain point, you have to graduate to the point of being able to be aware of more. And so, as Robin said, one of the ways is when they come really close up in front of your eyes.
I do. I said, I'm not kidding. I have seen my husband's others do that.
Yeah.
One night we were asleep. He was asleep, and I was on my left side, and I was watching him, and I watched. I saw his body or soul, however you want to put it. It lifted up, and I'm just laying there watching it. And the next thing I know,
Hmm.
face. And it said telepathically, I'm not scared of you.
Good.
I know. And I try to tell my husband, and he just shakes his head. He's so funny. He just looks at me like, I do not know how I wound up with you. But it's so funny because we've had several conversations like that,
Yeah.
soul to soul. And he, of course, doesn't remember anything. And then as we're having the conversation, I hear him, breathing or snoring or whatever. I can hear it.
Hmm.
So funny.
At the same
But
time,
so
because
it
he's
sounds
scared.
like you're already having an out of body experience, like you're right there in the ethereal plane, being able to see all this,
Yeah.
and it's just natural. I mean, it must be like probably effortless for you then, if it's so easy and natural. So
Well, for
you're
me,
already
no,
doing it,
it's not effortless and it doesn't
Robin.
come
Yeah.
a lot. I mean, I could probably
Okay.
count them on both hands in my life, and I'm going to be 65 in October. But I do think the reason that I resonated with Juliana was because as a child, I did experience things that did scare me. And I can remember one of my youngest childhood memories was we were in the yard playing. I think I told Casey this last time. We were in the yard playing, and I saw lights coming down the street, and I had to run to the porch. If lights came down the street, I had to run to the porch and hide my eyes because if the lights saw me, they would take me. And so that is one of my youngest childhood memories I have. So I'm almost sure that it was happening as a child. I mean, there's no doubt in my mind, but that's why I think I kind of resonated with what her story and being at her grandmother's house. But no, I am no expert by any means, and that's why I love to listen to Casey's experiences because, you know, the reason I was drawn to her in the first place was, she was talking about these things in those years when she was doing that blog, and I was like, oh my gosh, I've had that, I've felt that. I just never was brave enough to take it to the extent she took it to. I was more doing this, backpedaling, than I was, moving into it. I was kind of moving away from it. So I always really admired Casey because she was just right out there with it all the time.
What's the experience you were going to bring to us, Robin?
I can't.
Are you ready?
No,
No?
no. I mean, it wasn't. It was just a moment in time. For some reason, my computer has gotten. Oh, here, let me get that up. I couldn't see much. Um. Well, if you weren't going to put this on Facebook, I would say it, but I just don't want people on Facebook to see it.
Not very many people listen
Can you
to
chat it?
our group chats. If you look back at the group Zoom
I
talks
can't
that we
remember.
have, you'll see they have like 34 views or 57
Nobody knows me
views.
anyway. And
Most of them
the
are probably
34
me
people are
looking
going,
in.
there's another one.
These are just experiences in consciousness.
Okay.
And they're not anything that everyone doesn't have because everyone has them.
Well, I honestly have never had any encounter with anyone in my life that was famous in a visitation or a dream. One time, Eric and I passed, and we had one of those telepathic, hey, Ruby, hey, Eric, one of those things.
Yeah.
But y'all, I'm going to tell you that this man came to me the other night in the visitation.
Uh-huh.
And at first, I was astounded because I recognized him immediately. And I am aware that sometimes people will come to you and they will present themselves in forms that you can recognize. But I don't know why they would present this person because, I mean, anyway.
Mm-hmm.
And I was so, even in my state of this, meeting, I was so proud of myself because I thought to ask the question. So even in my subconscious life, I'm prideful. So,
What was the question?
do you have a message for anyone?
Oh, are we going to say who it is?
Y'all,
Who is it?
John F. Kennedy.
Oh, okay. Strong connection to, now I see Juliana sit up. Strong connection to JFK. And when I first started going out of body, and multiple times since, I'm given information on JFK.
Okay.
His assassination, what happened, the whole thing. Yeah.
Clear to me, and I know, as sure as I'm sitting here sounding like a goofball, I know that it was not something pretending to be him. So I was so proud, even in the moment that I asked the question, because normally I would back up a little bit. I can feel myself backing up, but I said to him telepathically,
Mm-hmm.
"Do you have a message for anyone that you would like for me to deliver?" And he went just like this.
Oh.
No, pursed his lips a little bit, thought for a minute, and just shook his head no. So of course I wake up at crack of dawn, and my husband's getting ready for work. I went, "Oh my God, you're not gonna believe this!" But I'm telling y'all, clear as day, as if I was sitting here talking to y'all right now.
He's come to me multiple times, as have some of the other Kennedys. And I posted these experiences on the Consciousness Exploration Facebook page, not the group, the page. It's been some time back, but I'll link you to that. I can't even think of it.
I got the feeling that maybe he was, I felt like he was seeing if he could trust me or something. Like, so I didn't know if that trust meant not speaking of it or speaking of it or seeing if I was.
Okay.
Oh.
I missed that whole
She's
thing.
frozen
I
out.
thought maybe he was coming to tell her something.
My screen froze. I missed that. Whatever just happened, I missed completely. I'll have to watch the playback.
Oh my God! I'm going, Casey's frozen. Casey. Anyway, I thought maybe
Casey's frozen, or she's meditating.
Robin, on the scale of insane, that doesn't even reach
I know.
one.
But I mean, if you went around your everyday friends, like, the girls that I'm Zooming my yoga class with right now, if I had Zoomed yoga yesterday and said, oh, yeah, let me tell you, they would be like, you have three heads and horns. But
Oh,
anyway, I did tell, I told my friend Natalie, because she's weird too.
uh-huh. Good.
And I don't know, it was just so clear and it just was so true to me. It was not like a dream because I don't normally remember a dream. I will remember a visitation, but I rarely
Mhm.
remember dreams. So, and there's a very distinct difference in a dream, because they're disconcerted and kind of weird, and a visitation is like right there, clear, succinct, and I can usually recall that. But anyway,
Yeah. It sounds to me like your experiences, Robin, are happening in your awareness field. Like you're not taking them into a ground, like a physical ground, I'll say. Um, and which is fine. That's the way I experienced most of my life, and it was why I could bring back dream content every day. It's why I could walk in the dream field and physical field simultaneously. um,
well, I do have to practice a lot and focus on being grounded
yeah,
just every day
yeah.
because
Otherwise, you can't.
I love being out there, but I know that there has to be a balance.
It's all happening at the same time. Like in the same way, right now you're sitting in your room. You are also sitting in the city you are.
Right, right.
You're sitting in the state that you are. You're sitting in the country that you are. You're sitting on the globe that you are. It's all
But that's
happening at the same time.
that's how I do my healing meditation. North, south, east, and west, and I do that same thing. Home, city, home, street, city, state, section of the country, and then I turn, and I usually go east, and I do the same thing, and then I go north, do the same thing,
Mm-hmm.
and then I'm just in the end, I'm just eventually, you know, covering the earth with that loving kindness and unconditional love and forgiveness. That's what it's going to take, in my opinion, for this
Yeah,
miracle to unfold. We're going to have to forgive a lot and love a lot.
indeed.
Sure.
Mm-hmm.
Anyway, so I thought maybe, um, and I was wondering if anybody had ever had the experience of while they were out, has anybody been given any revelations about what we need to do? I know service and love, and then of course, loving kindness, unconditional love, and forgiveness. I know I got that. I mean, do you ever get out there and they go, y'all need to do this? Because if you ever get that information and you'll tell me, I'll help if I can.
Mm.
Because I think the universe needs all the help it can get right now.
We're usually, or at least I'm usually being shown what I'm still processing and processing in order to make certain grades, you know. So in order to be in, let's call it fourth dimensional space, you need to have gone through, I'll say this very remedially, the kindergarten, first, second, and third grade curriculum, right? You
Mm-hmm.
have to have moved through that, processed it, achieved a certain grade in it to move to the fourth. And so I'm usually seeing what I'm still working on,
Right.
you
I feel
know,
a kindergartner for me, but
ideas. And my graduation is not out, it's in. So I'm moving through the higher grades down into the lower grades, we could say, um, in my processing, which is really weird. So let me see if I can, as I was saying that, something was beginning to come into my awareness, but I lost it. Okay, so one of the really big ones that I am working on myself is understanding free will, sovereignty, free will, and personal space. which, because I'm moving from the outside, I don't understand so well. It's people that are living in constraint patterns like the third dimension and fourth dimension and fifth dimension that understand these things more. Because they're physically moving through them. They physically understand, it's not appropriate for other people to start coming up and say, laying a hand on them.
Well, it used to be okay, but it's not anymore.
Certain etiquettes, are required. Whereas I have no concept of these etiquettes. I never have. I'm learning. I still have to make my way through learning them. And so, as an example, and pushing my will, this is something that I'm a neutral consciousness.
Isn't that what we would all be reaching for, though? That perfect balance of no negativity, where you wouldn't be positive. I mean, you would just be in neutral and nothing. You wouldn't be labeling anything one way or another.
Yeah, but it's not
That's the
something.
definition of nirvana.
It's not something to work toward, like we're normally in the third dimension. This is a duality structure, and you come into the duality structure with either a white hat on or a black hat on. So in that structure, because you're taking part in the duality play. Okay, so in that structure, you're either positively oriented, service to others, as some would say, or negatively oriented, service to self, they would say. And the way you see things is with this color glasses on. But my person, I can barely see the color of my person's glasses because my consciousness is everywhere already.
I understand what you're saying. I do.
It's challenging to understand, but there's a neutrality to me. I never take sides. That's not something that I've done or that has made sense to me. But that's what we're supposed to do here. And so I needed to start doing it to see where my third grade person, who she is and how she sees and what she experiences. The idea isn't to overcome that, it's to be that. To the greatest degree that you can, because that literally is how you graduate the grade. But it's very hard for me, and so I can push. I can very mindfully and energetically push my will, and I've been known to do that, and that's a lesson I'm still learning. It's a lesson that I get slapped down for a lot. And by a lot, I don't mean every day or anything like that. I mean, I can think of a good handful of times when I've really gotten a slap upside the head, a hard lesson taught to me from having invoked that here in this field, because in this field I have on a white hat. And that's something that a black hat would do and wouldn't get slapped for, but I'm not wearing the black hat in this incarnation.
And so it's always so surprising that you do that to people. Are people surprised when you do that?
When I force my will?
I bet they are.
Are they?
Because I don't think people are surprised when I do that.
What do you mean by forcing your will?
So recently, I'll use this example because I just did it. And I didn't even realize I was doing it. I thought I was doing something for somebody. I thought I was trying to give somebody a gift. It was somebody who I've known for quite some time in the consciousness arenas. He's been very generous with, like Robin. He was somebody who sent a really nice contribution to the 111 project when it first got started. I thought he put too many zeros on, and I even wrote him back. I'm like, are you sure? It wasn't $5 or $50. So anyway, I wanted to do something for him. I wanted to give him something. And I happened to have been leaving a comment on one of his posts on Facebook, and it was related. And I said, hey, we should do a read for you sometime, see who would come through for you. I was just volunteering a read. Um, and he said, yeah, great, but can I circle back around to this? And I said, oh, yeah. But, later that day I had time. So I went ahead and did the read. And then I wrote him back a couple days later and I said, hey, I've got your read. So if you want to just read this, I sent him the link to the requesting a read thing and told him what I needed for him so I could send him his, full size photos. All kind of weirdness started to ensue. I couldn't figure out for the life of me why the weirdness was ensuing, and until I realized, did I just push that on him? Was that something that he really didn't want or wasn't ready to have, and I was moved myself in on him too fast? And
Maybe
I'm all but
because,
sure that that's what happened.
maybe because he has a fear. Like what I was talking about. Sometimes when I look at them, I have fear of some of those pictures. Of course, some of them I don't. And you know how vain I am. I was so grateful that mine was so beautiful.
Yeah, well, yours was the Magdalene energy, and so yeah.
This is taking pictures.
Oh, yay! It's not black with big.
Yeah,
Is this
Yeah,
the crystal pictures, I think.
It's
Yeah.
so terrible.
I think they're all beautiful. Some of them are so
Well, they
clear
are
that it
beautiful,
scares
but
me.
some of them are a little scary to me. I see that, and I have to stop myself to not be, fearful looking at it because they're a little intimidating sometimes.
I am never intimidated by who they are or how they appear. The thing that can set me into some fear is the fact that I actually am doing this. Some people, some of the entities are so clear, for instance this last one, that it sends my central nervous system reeling. Because even doing this, and even doing this after all of these years, I'm still not fully acclimated to the fact that I'm actually doing it.
I'm going to tell you that I look for them every day. I look for them every day to see if you put some up. I am so intrigued by it.
Yeah, I was too.
So amazing to me. I just I don't know. It is just amazing to me.
It fascinates me. It's just,
And when
yeah.
Jans came and I couldn't see Jans, and clearly I could see other things. Like in Jan's, there was something that looked like it was in a photograph frame to me in the back. It was a perfect, I could see that perfectly. So some things I could see, but I couldn't get the main.
Well, when you get the main, you're simply aligning with me. You're aligning with what I'm seeing through my eyes.
I love them.
So
I
this
love
is fascinating.
Yes.
And this is what I'm doing. I'm attempting to link all of us who wish to be linked with me through my own view and vision. Why? Because there's a lot of frequency fields in it, and that gives you access to more frequency fields.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, it is one of the most interesting things that I've watched go and happen in a long time. So curious.
Thank you.
I wish I knew more about it. I wish I understood more.
We're going to.
I'm just kind of in that world where, like I said, I'm like a yellow belt in karate. I know just enough to get my ass kicked.
Casey, this is you and your crystal channelings that you communicate with. You take photos within the crystal and beings appear as you communicate with them?
Okay, so what happens is the beings here in my space, I'm pretty much constantly aware of now. They're all constantly wanting to communicate. It's a particular feeling.
Mm-hmm.
It wasn't always as constant as it is now. And are you seeing it for the first time?
Yeah.
So it wasn't always as constant as it is now. And so when it wasn't as constant, I would literally hear the call, just like you would hear your cell phone ringing.
Oh, yeah. Like
yeah, there's Robin.
I know. They were ready.
What a precious face.
Right.
So
seriously, I was so, when I requested the read from Casey.
Is that on Facebook?
I was telling my husband, I was like, I'm so excited. Casey's going to do a read for me through her crystal. And he's like, what are you talking about? And then the next day.
What is the read in? Oh, yeah.
Well, I got up the next morning and I was like, oh my gosh, look how beautiful it is because it had color and most of them are dark, gray and white, black and white, except for the blue eyes. But anyway, isn't
So
that
what does the
amazing?
read entail? What do you read?
Well, I've done it differently, and it's processing into, being what it is right now. And now I don't give an option for the reads. I'm just gonna, people who want to request one.
Yeah.
And I'm doing it for Patreon people and people who even follow the Patreon page. So you don't even have to become a patron; just
I
follow
just
the
signed
page.
up while we were talking.
Oh, good. And yeah, you can request a read, and you can request them as often as you want. And I just sit down and I will say who will come through for this person. And I focus on you and do my focusing into the crystal, and we see who will come forward for you. I'm not sending through information, just the formation at this time. Sometimes more information, and Robin's going to really motivate me to getting to the point where I can bring through more information.
Very,
But
I
it's
believe it would be
processing it.
transformative. I do.
What's
It's
that?
there. I think it's there.
Oh, yeah.
And there's just like some little block there, like
It's it's
maybe,
it's
maybe this is not all. Maybe you don't want to know.
it's life. It's life. So I have to struggle in the monetary field and paying rent, and what I do for a living doesn't pay very much. And I live in the most expensive state in the United States, and so those two things don't go well together. So I have to struggle, and sometimes I'm working. I have to work 24/7 sometimes, and so there's
Right.
just not the time.
Right. I know.
But that in itself could be the block, because I've wanted to shift from the care work to, more predominantly the consciousness work. And so it has to be a block that's preventing me from doing that, because that is what would give me more time to do the other. But because I have a thing with money, I don't have a respect from I will say, for money. I rather work unconditionally. And so like that's part of the problem, and that's part of what I'm still processing and working through. And so I've only just opened the Patreon. I did this for 12 years.
Yeah.
All of this. I mentored people, for OBEs and spiritual self-development and everything. All of that was free. And that was like all my free time, and I never asked for a donation or charged, or because I don't want that energy associated with this. I want this to be absolutely pure. And so then Patreon came around, and that was like a Patreon of the arts kind of a thing. And I thought, okay, well, I'm just going to do this. I won't block anybody from seeing anything, and people who want to see this work continue can put a little into the pot to help me do it.
Right.
And that's not paying
Maybe
me. That's
maybe it's your outlook on money. Maybe the outlook that of you seeing money as, a necessary evil. If you would just take the evil part out and that it's necessary
necessary.
and
Yeah.
that would release that block from you and then the money would come to you more freely and more flowing for you to do what you wanted to do.
Here's another element. I want to help other people get out of the money mindset and out of the conditional mind frame. I will do this if you do this for me. And so that's a part of what I'm here to help with also. But
Mhm.
most people who receive something feel a need to give you something for it. I don't want that to touch the Patreon. I don't want that to touch this. I need it to be that the person honestly feels this is something the world needs, and this is someone who is here helping to bring that. And so I'm going to group in with this structure and help keep it on the planet. I need it to be that. I need a group of maybe 100 of us that understand that, want to ground that structure here on the planet, and then we can group, and then the others, they can start working through their other. But with about 100 of us, will be a strong enough consciousness in the knowing of that and the desire of grounding that here in physical space, that that in itself will then the people on the outskirts of that, anybody else who comes in will come into that larger structure, and it will still hold itself up. It will still hold water. It won't change into another conditional platform.
Well, here's the thing, though, and this is just my opinion. You know, people,
So we
in
just
my
need to get there.
experience, people need to have something invested to be appreciative of what is coming to them. There needs to be, because people don't appreciate things as much if they're free because they don't have anything invested, time, money, anything.
I understand that.
So if you know,
Or I'm beginning
for
to.
instance, I'm using my yoga center as a I used to have a big yoga center. We had 8 teachers, and it was a hot mess. If you think yoga teachers don't have egos, wrong.
Yeah, no.
Okay. So I was teaching at the state hospital. I never have charged anybody for my teaching. And then I realized at the state hospital, there's a lot of places where a lot of people could go and get yoga. People that have money could go and have yoga. There was nowhere that people could not go that didn't have money. So I got rid of all of the teachers except one who's my very dear friend Sherry, and we went to donation only.
Yeah.
And even said, I don't care if it's a piece of dark chocolate. There has to be an exchange of energy.
Yes.
Some exchange of energy.
Okay.
So
And
people are so
and
willing
the exchange of energy that we're doing for the Galactic Travel Channel and these readings in particular is the energy that you're going to send from the contact form. And so if you've taken the time and the effort to go to the Patreon and even just follow it, that's all I ask. You don't have to become a patron, and you can become a patron for $3, a month. So I mean, it's just a little tiny. It goes up, but I mean, nobody, like, even if you're a patron for $4.12, which is simply a birthday, or a patron for $3, you're getting the same. Everybody gets the same, wealthy or poor. Everybody gets the same. So that's how we've, made the platform, shown the equivalency. We haven't made it a hierarchy.
Right.
And then you have to go, and I'm redoing the video. Soon you'll have to listen to the video requesting a read, and then you'll go to the article requesting a read and go through everything. And then it tells you exactly what I need you to do and exactly what I need you to send to me in the contact form. And this is the exchange. It's you. It's your consciousness, it's your energy, it's your delight, it's your combination with me to bring through one of these ET contacts, all of it, to the world. The whole thing is a gift to the world, and so that's the exchange, and it has nothing to do with the money. Although money is needed in the world and this structure exists, people can become a Patreon and put money into the structure to help keep it here and going. It's not to anyone, it's just to keep this in the world.
Yeah.
And so that I don't have to work so many hours in the care work that I can't do this, so yeah.
I have a question about the ET contact.
Out there, so it's going to happen.
It will.
I have a question. So you pull a being forward, and is this someone that we could then begin to actively work with?
Yeah, all of them.
Oh, I love this.
When I say I'm giving you my frequency fields, I'm giving you all the beings in these frequency fields also. And this is a lot of what we're seeing in the frames. Now, a lot of what comes to the frames is my own higher fractal consciousness. There's information embedded in there for you. More recently, I'm getting your beings. I used to not be able to do it. Now I can really see.
Yeah, my beings are so loving. You have access to my beings as well.
Oh, good.
They could be friends with your beings. They could be friends with you. They are here for service.
Excellent. See, and that's how I need it all. That's the opening. That's the thing that money cuts off. That whole, it's not the money. It's the conditional mindset. I'll do this if you do this for me. It's that mindset. It's that structure that we're going to dismantle, and we're going to show people a new way to do it, because the same works will get done It's just that money's not involved in the equation anymore. The same works get done, and those works aren't put into a box. Like, you know how if you don't have enough money to do something, you can't do it. But if you take money out of the equation, there's nothing you can't do, because everything now is possible. Everything is available to you. And I want to help show the world how that structure, that mindset, that concept can work here in physical space. I get, look, every single hair on my arm is starting to stand up. And so, yeah, I'm not going to sacrifice that, because that basically is what we're doing.
How are people going to say, rents and rooms and stuff like that? I mean, how are people going to be able to pay their electric bills and stuff like that?
They won't pay. Money will eventually be taken out of the equation. But until money's taken out of the equation, what happens is we group together. And this is what the sustainable communities are all about.
I would love one of those.
I've always wanted to live in one of those.
Yeah, we would call them
I'd love to
ashrams.
live in a commune.
Robin, in the yoga field, we call them ashrams.
Foggy Yogiville, remember?
Yes. Somebody out there will have property and land, like James Gilliland has property and land. And now people live on that property and land with him, and they all work together to do, his work and those videos and the CE5s and all of that. And, it's not that we don't still have to work, but we don't have to work 24/7 around the clock so that we can't do this. I make it to the point where I only have to put 2, 3, or 4 hours into the care work, maybe 4 days a week, and the rest of the time I can do the consciousness work. So even in an ashram, you're working. You're still, cleaning or cooking or organizing events, or you're still working. You're just not working for money. And then people who want to support that structure put money into it. And those are people usually with a lot of money, just like people support the church or support the arts. These are usually people with more money than what we will have, But we're going to work, we're not going to work an outside in structure. We're going to work an inside out structure. So this is a bunch of people like us who don't have money. Robin has more than we do, but most of us are like us.
I don't know that I do or not. I'm very, I'm frugal. I'm frugal.
Yes.
But I'm generous.
You're very generous.
I don't mean that to come up from, because I don't waste a lot. I don't waste.
Same here. And that'll be the true with most of us. That energy of generosity is what sort of brings us together. It's what we all have in common. And anyway, I was going to go somewhere with what was just said, and I just lost the train of thought.
I can't wait to see her reading. I can't wait to see Juliana's reading.
Oh yeah. Did you definitely request one?
Wait, how do I request one? Where do I go?
Okay, go to consciousnessexploration.com. That's the website.
I hate it, but I have to go.
I have to leave as well.
Yes.
Consciousnessexploration.com.
Good to see everybody again. I hope we'll do this again.
We'll definitely do it again.
I hope you're doing the telepathy group, Robin, because I'm going to have some conversations with you.
Yes.
Oh my, I don't know that I'm telepathic. I don't know.
Oh, you absolutely are. We all are. What do you mean? You just had 5 telepathic conversations that you shared today.
I know, I did. Okay. I'll be
okay, so I'll take Juliana to, if you're on consciousnessexploration.com, on the side, are you on your phone?
Yeah.
You may have to scroll to the bottom to see the link that says requesting a read.
Oh, well, I see request a rendering.
Yes. Click that and just read it. The contact form is linked right in there, and then just send me over what I've asked for. The most important part is that you understand that these are unconditional, that they're for everyone, that there are no private reads, and if you're aligned with everything being shared with everybody, that's the most important part. Because this is what we're giving to the world, so nothing's private. We're all coming out of the closet.
I'm an open book, so.
Yeah, good.
I love this. It was so lovely meeting all of you guys. I'm going to head out as well. Thank you, Casey.
Nice to meet you too.
I will see you soon, and I'm definitely joining this community. So thank you for holding space for all of this.
Excellent. Wonderful.
Thank you, Casey, very much. I'll be looking forward to the communication for telepathy.
Mm-hmm.
I'll put it on in our group once I get it going. Andy and I are devising it right now.
Oh,
Okay, or you can make your way over to the board and you'll see it in the practice area.
okay.
Yeah.
Bye,
Okay.
Perfect.
y'all. Have a
Thank you,
good week.
everyone.
Lynn,
Happy
hang
holidays.
out for a minute, Lynn. Okay, bye girls.
Okay.
Bye.
Nice meeting you. Okay, she's gone.
Okay.
Katie.
I could tell this time you had a delay.
It's probably my computer. Well, it's my internet.
It's slower
Can
internet.
you hear me okay?
I can, but yeah, I was able to tell you.
I'm out in the middle of I'm out in the middle of nowhere now. It's like I'm way out in the country, and you can only my choice is satellite. That's the only choice, and it's not that great.
Yeah. Is there anything, I noticed you couldn't get in on a lot of the conversation because you were getting that delay. So is there anything that you wanted to bring up today?
Oh, I was mainly enjoying listening, and I wanted to listen.
Okay.
So,
Is there anything?
but yeah, I'm glad that. No, I mean, I'm glad that you pointed us to your your patron stuff. That's cool. I'm
Thank you
glad
for not minding that.
that you have something now that. Huh?
Thank you for not minding that. Everybody hated me when I first opened the Patreon.
Why?
Well, when you go from just doing this and to opening something like a Patreon where monies can be exchanged, a lot of people in the spiritual community.
Well,
So, and I understand
well, it's
that.
like,
I understand
yeah,
that, but I'm approaching retirement age, so I have to start figuring out how I'm going to keep doing this when I retire. Yeah.
Well, see, it's like, I mean, you have to, well, like you said, you have to make a living. And I've known people that, like you, that are doing things where they're asking money. And it's just like, this is what you want to do with your life. This is, and you need to get compensated somehow. So,
I'm not asking for money.
I mean, look at some of the.
I'm absolutely not asking for money.
It's energy.
I'm asking for
energy.
presence. I'm asking for energy. I'm asking for interest. And for those who feel this is something they want to be on the planet, yes, there is that opportunity to support it financially so that it can take place.
Right.
Yeah. And I know that you left a comment on the requesting a rendering that you would like one too. So do you have all of the information to?
That's what I was looking. It's like, I guess I need to look back and maybe I didn't finish it or something.
I left a comment there for you, but basically all you have to do is go to the website, and if you're on your laptop or computer, you'll see the link to request a rendering right at the top in the sidebar.
I'm there, and I'm going to go. Like I said, I was a little confused with which places to go to, but
go to Patreon, follow the Patreon, and then go to the website and read, and then send what I need in your contact form. The contact form
get to it.
Okay. All right, good. Because I have openings right now. So, and I have the time right now.
Okay.
So, yeah, and I would love to see who would come through for you right now. So,
I'm quite, it's like, yeah, I mean, these beings are my family and my teachers and they're everything. So, yeah, it would be quite interesting, and I'll offer them to you. And anyway, I don't know what else to say. I'm just kind of floored with this, but I'm glad that. But no, I'm glad that you have a means of being able to collect energy from this. The patron thing. So.
Yes.
Yeah.
Most of it is your energy and,
Yeah.
and not the financial support of the Patreon. But of course, that's appreciated because that's what allows it to stay here.
I know that we have a very strange hang up when it comes to money.
Yeah.
It's kind of weird because within this, it's been over a year since I've actually had a full-time job. And I'm about to do that again. It's like I moved here to accept a full-time teaching position, but it's really strange how I seem to have done better, not financially or energetically and all kinds of stuff when I wasn't actually working. It's like the universe was just always sending this and this and this. It's like, you know, and it seems like I get boggled down when I actually do have a real job because I sometimes I feel like it's just more like, you know, it's sucking my life force out. I don't know, but I totally get it. I really do. That's why I have my other websites. I completely, totally believe that those are going to be fruitful for me eventually because I'm putting my energy and my heart into it, and you know, it's the artwork and stuff. So yeah, I totally understand.
God. And if you make your way to the top here, there's a space for everyone to post their own links and websites and works and all of that, which will give everyone access to our entire Galactic Travel Channel community. And then there's also another community area which just has everybody that's out there in the world right now bringing this extra awareness to the planet. So all kinds of neat spaces to come in contact with the others of us. All right, Lynn.
Okay.
Thanks for making it today.
Thank you.
Okay, and I look forward to getting your
It's so nice
contact
seeing
form.
you.
Always. Always.
Yeah.
Okay. Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.